You know, it's almost like your birthday with a package from China, so let's go. Hey, welcome back to the channel. It's awesome that you're tuning in. So in today's video, we're going to take a close look at the game sticks. The game sticks that are really maybe worth picking up, or at least the best ones that I found throughout the jungle of different game sticks. Even after this video, I know there are going to be becoming more and more game sticks where I just want to deep dive into the jungle to see which one is the best one. But so far, these are the best selections, because we have two different solutions with two different configurations, and both of course will have the positive and the negative. But which are the differences and which one should you pick up or just avoid? But for the first one, let's take a close look at the Super Console X. So what is it? Is it any good? And how does it compare with the other one? The Super Console X stick was actually the same like the first generation Super Console X devices, coming with Emulators 3.9 and does have a lot of capabilities when it comes to the Android part. So yeah, what are we having when it comes to the, let's say, overall specs? So it has the optional dual boot with a very old like prehistoric Android, the S905X chip that we have seen in many game sticks now, and yeah, the quad core in combination with the Mali 450 does have like a lot of potential when it comes to PlayStation 1 emulation, but further than that we do notice some problems. So booting further into the Super Console X sticks, we're getting this Kinhang Games retro, let's say, logo. They have been changing this throughout the year in different kind of Emulators versions. And you can just actually see that it says unbox when booting this up. Because that happens when you're removing the SD card. Yep, this is actually just an Android box, but I can tell you I would not recommend using this because it's old tech. Think about like older, like maybe 5, 6 or 7, let's say, Android versions. So Emulators 3.9 is just a basic version nowadays, where newer versions had capabilities of different kind of new emulators. It doesn't really matter sometimes, because when you're looking at the overall power compared with, let's say, other versions, yeah, you know, the power is in the end what makes the difference when it comes to emulation performance. But however, that, like the Super Console X, I just wanted to do a quick overview where we can still play thousands and thousands of different games. Particularly looking at, let's say, the old school computers like Atari, Commodore 64 and Amiga, you know, Amstrad, CPC. There is so much that we can actually play with, let's say, the older, let's say, Super Console X. Where we are always looking into the next best thing. The problem is that most of these things are running like the old S905 chipsets. Where I'm saying that is a bad thing, it's just absolutely great when playing old school games. Where personally I love to play some old school 16-bit games like the Sega Genesis or Super Famicom, they run perfectly. And if you just want to experience some old school arcade games, 64th Street, Mortal Kombat 1, where we have some minor limitations when it comes to Killer Instinct Tekken, most games run just fine. But yeah, when it comes to, let's say, Mortal Kombat, I'm always doing this testing simply because it's a very demanding game. We have played it a lot on Pandora's boxes, where it was a hit or miss, but with the Super Console X we had no problem whatsoever. So we're getting into N64, a system that I cherish forever, because it has so many cool, let's say, nostalgia games with 4-player configuration. Unfortunately, with these game sticks, it's not playable, and you should look into Battlesera with a mini PC to get an overall good performance there. So where this thing did came with a lot of problems left and right, I think it's still a very fun product to, let's say, play on nowadays. Simply because we have so many cool overall, let's say emulators that can run fine on this all the way up to PlayStation 1. Having even possibility to play some Sega Nomi. But even PlayStation 1 on the original resolution, it do great in combination with some bezels. Because otherwise you're going to have like the widescreen shenanigans that we have seen many times before. PlayStation Portable is a system I personally would remove most of the time, because the emulator, they're using it way too, let's say, old, in combination with, let's say, very problematic issues. That where this particular game seems to be running just fine with the Metal Slug collection, you will see most of the games will not run fine when it comes to three-dimensional games. Then next up, let's take a close look at the GameStick 3D. So this one was also known by the Pow Kitty. And nevertheless, let's check out, is this thing any worth your money, your time, and etc. So the big brand is called 3D GameStick, and they're just selling this thing under different names. For example, the GameStick Y6. So what I'm actually going to get is, first of all, a very nice fancy menu. Here we're going to get ourselves like a quick menu, and here we can see that we're having select and start for the special options. X for search, favorite, Y, B for back, and A for select. At the top we're going to get different kind of, let's say, platforms, and there are a lot of them. From the 8-bit, 16-bit era, even some pocket devices like the Game Gear and the Neo Geo Pocket and Mega Drive 32X. There's a lot of cool stuff you can actually play with it and a lot of new features. At the left side we're going to get ourselves just a list with the games that are on there. I did notice some of them are having an alphabetic order, but some don't. And touching a certain controller will also give you an indication which controller is basically navigating through the menu. And last but not least, we're going to get ourselves a tiny screenshot for every single game that you're going to be choosing. I think it's pretty cool. There is no video that we have seen before, but I think they're doing this because it takes up a lot of space, having every single time a tiny, let's say a tiny video playing when you're actually choosing a game. So when you're looking at the menu, they changed it out with all the previous models. First of all, when pressing up and down, this is the same like always, you're going to the next game. By pressing left and right, here we can choose different kind of, let's say, category. And pressing the shoulder buttons, here we're going to skip basically a page in the certain platform. Okay, let's take a close look at the search functionality. Pressing X. I'm curious if you're going to have a delay. I've noticed with some of the sticks it's really annoying to search because you're going to have the feeling that it needs to be loading every single time something. But they completely not messed it up this time. Still, they're messing stuff like that up. Absolutely unforgivable, no aspect ratio. So that is something also that they can improve in the next model. But graphical wise, it will run on original resolution so far I can see. But it runs pretty damn smooth and everything looks quite nice. Next up, I wanted to try some MAME emulation just to see what we're actually going to get. So enter some credits. I do see this weird, very strange filter over it that trying to look a little bit better, or that's the feeling I'm having. Pressing select and start will give you the same option like before, but pressing both joysticks, here we're going to get ourselves into the emulator settings. So I think it's pretty damn cool. Here game information, game history, we can even implement some cheats if you want to. Let's say infinite. Live can be set to on. Alright, there we go. And here we are, we have infinite life and we can just cheat the system. So I think it's pretty cool. That is an option you don't have with every single device, that we can go into this. So first of all, I found it interesting to see that we're actually going to get PlayStation Portable running on a game stick for that amount of money. But take consideration that there are some options we don't have like with a Pandora's box. First of all, we cannot play together with a friend. That is one of those unique features that they implemented in Pandora's boxes. We don't have this, so it's actually just a one-player system. Nevertheless, when you're looking at the gameplay, the button layout seems to be working like it should be. So that's the part they didn't mess up. Pressing select to start will give you more like a semi-PP SSPP emulator. Control options, here you can see you can get into the controls, but that's it, you know, it has been locked down, so there is no way of messing with the freaking options. I find a little bit of a bummer because with these systems you can sometimes tweak it and get a pretty damn good result with low power chips. Of course, frame skipping will be enabled with these things. I can already tell you that because otherwise it wouldn't run. But what's even interesting, there is like a God of War in here, but those games will not run at all. If you want to relive your old games of the N64 era, I can tell you it's going to be absolutely hit or miss. Some games will run okay, but some will just look absolutely horrendous. You can see that the glitching going on, and that is the thing that I really hate about these cheap products sometimes. That they're saying they will run something, but in my opinion, when it glitches like crazy, it makes it unplayable. But it's kind of cool that they actually like fix the problem that I always had with the N64, and I mean particularly when you're walking around, they need to use the weird yellow buttons, but oh man, the sensitivity of this thing is crazy. But again, for me, if you're looking at how sensitive this joystick is, it sucks freaking unplayable, where I just need to get used to this. But the overall gameplay is not bad at all, and especially when you're looking at this really cheap chip that they're using on this. Yeah, graphical wise it looks absolutely horrible. The cool addition is the Sega 32X. It's a very small library of games that is on there, but it's cool that they added this. And also here I do have the feeling that they have the same kind of weird filter over it. It's kind of funny when I'm looking at it. I'm getting really used to it. The main problem we're having over here is that we're having two different completely configurations of, let's say, game sticks. Yeah, which one is better? It depends. So first of all, when you're looking at the Super Ghost Leaks, the chipset, I think it's going to be less, let's say, powerful and less options. Where I love Emulators, it's absolutely a beautiful piece of software. Where the Linux Game 3D game stick, the controllers are okay, like they're slightly better, but yeah, the overall, let's say, configuration of this thing, it's so much more convenient. Yeah, it's absolutely difficult to say which one is better because they have both the positive and the negative side. Let me know in the comments what do you think, and it would be great to see you in the next video.